Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction and read through for this week's chapter of Tower of God, Urek Mazino. We have chapter 46, Evil Part 2, The Will of Phantaminum. I'm excited about that. I want to know more about this Phantaminum stuff, especially clicking onto the chapter, and as you can hear it saying a long time ago, Earth. We're seeing Earth in Tower of God. And since, really getting the fact that these were more irregulars, I have really liked this stuff, because it's like we kind of have our irregulars, but we have the groupings together. We've got like the 13 who climb together, the Great Warriors, and then we've got Phantaminum and the potential 7 Shining Ones. And so we have these two groupings of irregulars, and while one took over the tower long ago and is now ruling the tower, the others are kind of doing things in the shadows, and Urek is searching for them, hunting them, and we don't know if in the present time he's already hunted all of them except for Phantaminum. We don't know that, but I like that. I like that this is going on, and seeing like an irregular versus irregular fight with Mago and Edwan that was really good. I like that a lot, and thank you a lot to everybody who was kind of helping to clear things up and everything between your comments, and also I went back and reread the earlier parts. Between those two things, I have a better grasp now. So we have Phantaminum, and then there were the original 6 Shining Ones, and they were turned into the ones who swallowed the light. But then Urek showed up as a 7th Shining One that apparently Phantaminum didn't know about. So this is kind of our set up here. Mago was once a Shining One but is not any longer, and same with Obrion, which means potentially we still get to see 4 more, unless maybe they're not going to be involved in stuff in the tower, but you would figure they should be, they would be. But this chapter, it's called Will of Phantaminum, so we might get to see what it is Phantaminum even wants, which is helpful. I also think that the way the timeline is right now, I don't think that something I have thought since last week. I mean, I've thought this timeline-wise longer, but something that I thought about last week is we might actually get to see in the spin-off Phantaminum's invasion of Zahard's palace. And that might even be where Urek meets Yuri. Like, that's not what we were told in the blog posts or anything, or in season 1, but that, like, it wouldn't really retcon anything, it wouldn't be contradictory, we just weren't told that. Like, we could have Phantaminum, takes on Zahard's palace himself, takes out all those people, meets Yuri, but then maybe we see in the... maybe we'll see in this spin-off that there was more to it and that Urek was involved. Maybe Urek was tracking Phantaminum down there, and that's maybe where Urek and Yuri met each other, since we know that they know each other, and she has that connection with Wellhike Song. So we might even get to see that in this, because when he first entered the tower, back at chapter 1, again rereading things, Head-On said that he hadn't heard of Phantaminum before. Now he could be lying, or maybe for whatever reason he just didn't know, but the fact that he said that makes me think that Phantaminum's just kind of lurking. He hasn't made his presence known yet, hasn't done what he did at the palace yet. So with that in mind, we've got Phantaminum, we've got the Shining Ones, and then like Enryu and Bomb and all that. Bomb's related to the 13 Warriors and all that through V and Arlen, so he's kind of connected to that. He's kind of, in a lot of ways, not even like a real irregular. Like, it's more complicated than that. So we have all of that connecting with each other, and it makes me think, so, and like from what we saw of Enryu, he just, whatever's going on with the outside god, he just waltzed into the tower and waltzed back out. So can you just do that? Or can some people? Is it just Enryu because of the outside god or whatever? Can Phantaminum also do this? We know that Phantaminum was created by the darkness, but also weren't the Shining Ones originally created by the darkness, but then the darkness created Phantaminum to be like, hey, go stop those guys, and then Phantaminum betrayed the darkness? So is the darkness the outside god, since it is seemingly the primordial being before all others, who can just make beings like the Shining Ones? There's a lot to think about now, and I like that we're getting into this, though I will say last chapter there were some good bits with the fighting between Obrion and Urek. There are some things about his fighting style that I like. I liked when he ran off and Urek followed and then he ambushed him on the steps. But overall, I feel like the fighting, the choreography, the use of their powers and how they were planning their attacks around each other was not nearly as strong as the Mago and Edwan stuff, but still, it wasn't as strong. But I'm willing to give it more of a chance. I hope we get a really good chapter this time around. So either way, let's start reading episode 46. A long time ago, Earth. And we're seeing some actual modern-looking buildings, modern-looking clothing. I was told, you're the future emperor. And you must not fall to darkness. Come with me. What does he think I'm going to say? Yes, sir? What a moron. Okay, so we're getting backstory for the Emperor. Emperor of what? A specific country? Emperor of Earth as a whole? I guess Earth is just different than our current Earth. We have Evil Part 2, The Will of Phantaminum. A long time later. And it swings the blade at Urek. That man did indeed become the Emperor. And Urek's still dodging Urek. His strongest move throughout the spinoff. He led hundreds of charges into battle. So they were still having battle charges and fighting with a sword or whatever in this version of Earth, even though it looked modern. Yet, never tasted defeat. As a ruler, he was benevolent, and as a warrior, he never surrendered to evil. I was certain he would always be pure and free from darkness. And now we clash again. Watching a fight is so much more pleasant than being involved in it. Obrion's just looking on. Don't you think, Urek? Just wait there. You're next. Obrion. He has the power to turn good into evil. So he's kind of like counter good or counter light instead of counter hope. The brighter you are, the more darkness he'll taint you with. Basically, he counters good with an equal amount of evil. The Emperor was once the brightest being in the universe. We're talking about a universe here. Which means... So he's now the darkest. So he was the goodest guy in the entire universe. And Urek sends an attack to him this time. But he's able to block, it seems. I figured this wouldn't be easy. And another slash goes in, but he's looking like he jumps above it. So again, Urek is dealing with this guy and saying it's not easy, even though it doesn't seem like he's trying that hard. So, how strong is this guy compared to Shining Ones and stuff? And because he avoids it, the attack goes toward Obrion. But he is unfazed. And the Emperor turns his attention to Urek again, sends another attack, but Urek blocks, goes under, and goes in with an energy-infused punch. Again, it's hard to tell what's Shinsu versus Shining One powers. We weren't really given a clear differentiation when it comes to Urek, at least. Because I guess, again, he's firing blasts from the Greatsword. Is that Shinsu? Did the Shining Ones just adapt to using... Did the Shining Ones just adapt to using Shinsu? Or... can they just use energy powers? The Greatsword is slow. But the Emperor is fast. And he dances up. Okay. He's sending a bunch of attack down, I think, with the movement of his sword. And now we have the light here. And Obrion has this weird, darkness body he's sitting on. Urek goes for Obrion, though. Are you angry because you're starting to realize just how much your friend has changed while you were apart? Those who've endured despair and faced it by allying themselves with darkness are inevitably drawn deeper into it. Just like those test directors you met. What? I personally recruited some of those directors from this tower, and recommended them to Leo. They have all joined hands with darkness, after being beaten down by life, so I brought them here. Heidi, promising them a new life. Just like Leo, if they want Mago to regain her power, Rahab, so they can take revenge on the tower. Just like Leo, they want Mago to regain her power, so they can take revenge on the tower, the place that drove them to misery. There are invaders outside. Have you noticed any abnormalities here? Of course not. It's so weird that, keeping Rahab around and everything we're doing here. I'm interested in where it goes. I mean, I guess she's just gonna have to flip and fight on their side at some point, because that's going to be the only way to help Asa. No one can escape this prison. Those who have escaped misery by allying themselves with darkness. No, she's lying. What does Gokojung even get out of this? Like before when he was pointing out Rue, how does he even benefit from this? He's just being a pain in the ass for the love of the game? Rue and Evelyn have escaped. Are drawn into it far more easily. Damn it. And she gets blitzed by Rahab. After the stuff with Urek, you can't go trying to look cool now, man. You can't. I saw this coming, Heidi. You never believed in the power of the gems like the rest of us. And the way they talk about, it's just one of those things where as much as you love and buy into a story, sometimes they bring up something so often as, I can't keep comparing it to Kingdom Hearts. The difference is that I think Kingdom Hearts' story is great. I love Kingdom Hearts. But at the same time, darkness and light and hearts every other sentence. The way they say gems and use gems every other sentence, given that gems in the real world are just pretty looking rock, it gets kind of silly. Some of the sentences out of context. Also, I've said this before sometimes, and I don't think it's always this way in the original Korean, but again, aren't the text boxes here really pixely? Really pixely? I'll have to bring up the Korean after this and see if it looks that way there too, but this looks like really low detail on the text boxes for some reason. Of course not. I have no interest in that foul power. Not after that gem corrupted Lord Asa. The light of those gems corrupts people. But I suppose that didn't apply to you, because you were already corrupt. After all, you were expelled from your team after murdering your teammates in the tower. You traitor. How dare you? You don't know what you're talking about. It's interesting how we've had so much drama from the test directors, too. They deserve to die. They may have been on my team, but all they ever did was hold me back. They were useless and worthless. Because of them, I lost in an important battle, yet they simply comforted each other and moved on. Those weaklings deserve to die. Maybe. That's just what you want to tell yourself, still talking as she's getting just pummeled. But remember, no one deserves to die. The fact that you've forgotten that means you've become corrupt. The most interesting one, out of all those I brought here, loves killing regulars specifically. Apparently that's not allowed in this tower, go figure. But here, you can kill as many regulars as you want. And she's with your friends right now. No, he turns around. There's no point in rushing there, Urek. What? Is he talking about Mono, or is it going to be Gisli? Gisli wasn't one of the ones brought there by them, though. So it's got to either be Heidi, but she turned sides. It doesn't make as much sense for her specifically, though, or Mono, right? Unless I'm forgetting another female director that they had with them, but I think it was just... Yeah, I think it was just Mono, from my memory. The rest were guys, right? Yeah, because Chung Gum was the replacement scout guy. So yeah. What? They're all dead. Who? And we have Evelyn still sitting up, at least a little, but Neo and Rue are down. Who? Is this the random one we saw silhouetted in the darkness? I think we might have seen somebody like that before, where they were just chilling in the background, and everybody was like, who is this? Okay. So this is the random extra one that was standing around like once or twice, that we hadn't been introduced to yet. But they were standing around, to be fair, like once or twice. There was an extra one. But all three of them are illusions anyway. Who cares if they die? What is the meaning of this? What do you think? I'm feeding the fire. What? I'm tossing firewood into the flames, even though I know it's risky, just to watch the beautiful blaze. I don't know why, but I'm captivated by the light of the flames. You see, the more dangerous the flames become, the more beautiful they look. So keep burning for me, Urek. He goes in for a kick and sends him flying through a wall. What the hell is wrong with you? Valid. Mago and I are obsessed with your light. It's my wish to burn with you when you're shining at your brightest. And I guess maybe because they have been changed from shining ones into those who devoured the light, they might all just have, gained this obsession by being changed. You think I've been corrupted? No, that's what they were. They blamed me right up until they died. Pathetic failures. Some people do deserve to die. You're right. Some people deserve to die. And Asa takes him out. Sick. And you're one of them. Rat. I wonder if, because of the things that happened with Mago and Edwan, if Asa's maybe free and back to who he was before he was changed? Or maybe again, with Mago and Obrion, maybe Asa's just changed now too. Master? Asa. Heidi, are you alright? She looks totally fine. There's blood everywhere, but she looks completely unharmed. Heidi, are you alright? She hugs him. Heidi? Master, you're back. Oh, thank goodness. Heidi. And he drops his sword. Why didn't I see that a blindingly bright light was right here all along? What a fool I've been. I'm sorry. Okay, so it seems like he is back now that Mago's been defeated. Mago's hold over him's been broken. Now we're back to Urek and Obrion. Sounds like you need a good beating. Ouch. Calm down. I was just kidding. You were kidding. Yes, your friends are still alive. What? I'm sure she's tailing them, but she won't have killed them. So relax. I love the tiny queen. And then, but it's possible she's captured them and is ready to kill them as soon as I give my word. And we now see a shot of them all captured. Sounds like you're holding them hostage because you're too scared to face me in a fight. True, fighting you's a little scary, but I'm still enjoying it. As you know, others' misery fuels Mago's power. That's why I chose this place to resurrect her. I didn't expect you to show up, but maybe it's for the best. The more you despair, the faster Mago will regain her power. What exactly are you all hoping to do here by restoring her power? This tower has tests, each with its own rules. There's also Shinsu, another kind of power. If it's not all a coincidence, then this tower was built to test those who enter, and make them grow. That makes me wonder, whom this enormous tower and its countless inhabitants exist for. Okay, see, I like that. That's something I brought up back in Season 3 because of Head-On talking to Enkidu. It seemed like Head-On didn't like the structure that Zahard set up, stopping people from climbing, because Head-On said to Enkidu, like, this tower was made to test people. So it seems like whatever's going on with Head-On doesn't like that the tower's not fulfilling its purpose anymore because of what Zahard's done. Which is why Head-On is sketchy. But this is cool that the spinoff is also bringing up, who was it made for? I don't know the answer yet, but it's probably someone the world needed. like you or Lord Phantaminum, someone immensely powerful. That's the conclusion I reached, at least. It's hard to say that it was Bomb, though. Could it have been V? Like, maybe it was V, but then V, because of everything that went on with Arlen and Zahard, couldn't do it, and now V is living through Bomb. It feels like Bomb wasn't a chosen one, he just kind of got thrust into it, and like made into it. That's the conclusion I reached, at least. You're saying a new axis will be born. Okay, so this is the first time ever I'm thinking that axes have actually been talked about in the straight up text of the series itself. And Urek knows what an axis is. So presumably, axis is probably going to be different than what it was described as in the blog post. It was described as somebody who basically writes existence into existence. And I don't necessarily think that makes sense with what we're getting. So, thinking. I think it's going to be changed. So I don't know if Phantaminum is going to still be an axis, and an axis is just this transcendental being or whatever, or if, again, the darkness itself is going to be the thing that is the axis, because the darkness was writing things into existence. The darkness brought the Shining Ones into existence, and it brought Phantaminum into existence, so it seems like the darkness would be an axis, because it just brings things into existence. And so whatever made the tower would be an axis, right? Something just wrote the tower into existence. And that would make sense for Zahard and the other family heads being from a different outside the tower than the outside the tower that Urek is from, because whoever the axis is that wrote their home world or worlds or whatever is different from the axis that wrote Urek's. But also, we started off with this Emperor stuff, and we really didn't continue with that. Like, we still don't really know what Urek's relationship was there. Like, they were friends, I guess. We don't really know what that's all about. And he was fighting the Emperor, but he just kind of went after Oberon and kind of stopped at one point. The Emperor's just chilling at this point. So we kind of it felt like the story got distracted. Yes, and as you're well aware, we can't allow that to happen. We're not going to wait until this being reveals itself. We'll take the tower first. We'll seize everything in this tower that was prepared for this being and make it ours. This is a really good motivation for Phantaminum and the Shining Ones, or the former Shining Ones, the ones who swallowed the light. This is a good, motivation. They're like, this tower was made to make another axis. But whether Phantaminum's the axis or whether the darkness is the axis, they don't want another one to be made. So they're just going to take over the tower and prevent that from happening. Which kind of feels like what Zahard and the 10 families have already done. But Zahard and the 10 family heads might not even know all about this axis stuff and the tower's inner working stuff. They might know less than Phantaminum and the ones who swallowed the light know, potentially. Then, it'll never even get a chance to be born. Such is the will of Lord Phantaminum. And it ends there. I think that's a really good drop at the end. That's a really good, giving us the motivations for these people at the end here as the big reveal. And I think the motivations are really good. It makes a ton of sense. So we started off weird with the Emperor stuff. Weird because we didn't delve more into it before moving on to this other stuff. But I like the cutting in to the Rahab stuff. And what is Rahab's deal? I guess that's maybe even all we're getting from him. He's been a weird character with the different ups and downs that he's been through. But I like the Heidi and Asa stuff that we went through. And maybe now that they're completely done, Mago is in the princess's body for now, seemingly. But after her defeat, Asa seems to have been freed. Maybe after all of that, they'll let Gisli and Pedre and Marco Asensio and all them out. And we'll see what else goes down here. There's still a lot happening. There's still a whole heck of a lot happening now that I think about it. And there has been the potential capture already of Runeo and Evelyn's group, who is going to complete the castle test, and we still don't know what completing the castle test will really do, other than setting things right from the past. But either way, I thought it was a good chapter. I had fun. I thought this was good. I like the motivation. I like the backstory stuff. The Emperor stuff, Earth being kind of this weird place, I don't know if we needed that. We could have just said it was some other planet other than Earth and just leave us to think, oh, Earth is the Earth we know it out there somewhere in Urek's world. The Emperor stuff is weird, but hopefully we'll get more of it to explain their relationship and develop that more. I do think some of these concepts are bigger than Siu is willing to tackle in some ways, like when he was doing the Schrodinger's cat stuff, and it's like there were some parts of the analogy that just didn't actually work, and I'm like, does Siu fully understand Schrodinger's cat? Like there's some things with this whole light becoming darkness, encountering the light with the darkness and all that I'm like, is this not trying to go too big and too abstract for what you're willing to tackle with it, story-wise? But either way, I guess we'll have to wait and see where it goes for now. But either way, with a good chapter down, I think this chapter was way better than the last two. Last chapter wasn't bad or anything, but this one was way better than the last two. I really am excited to see more of Phantaminum and the Shining One stuff. Or again, former Shining One stuff. It's just so much easier to say Shining One than those who swallowed the light. But either way, I didn't go and look and see if that one text box was as low quality in Korean. I said I would, so you know what? Actually, let's go do that. No, you can see, like, I don't know if this is the exact panel, but you can see with the other panels too. At least, again, I don't know how it shows up for you on like the window capture and everything, but it's so much crisper. Like even the images for the panels look so much cleaner on Naver than on Webtoons. It's like with Webtoons, they download the images and then they make the edits to do the translation and then they upload them, but in the process of getting the images and messing with them in Photoshop or whatever they use and then re-uploading them, it's like they lose quality, like things get compressed, because this does look, again, it's kind of small on the OBS image capture, so I don't know if that compresses things any, so it might not, you might not be able to tell the difference on your end, but on my end, this looks, even the art and everything, not just the boxes, like the corners and everything, it looks so much cleaner here on Naver than it looks on Webtoons. So I feel like Webtoons just, the process that they use, they're just losing quality in the images. But either way, with that aside, let's go back to this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this chapter, my thoughts and reaction. Subscribe for more Urek Mazino, much more on the channel. If you want to help support the channel by dropping a super thanks or sharing around, it's appreciated. If you want to help support the channel, get your name at the end of videos and get One Piece bingo early, you can hit join down below to become a member. Go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or link will be in the description to become a patron. Thank you so much to people who are members and patrons. Thank you to chosen regulars Evan Hawley and Bertie Wooster, Magical Girls, VD Ben and Maru, Cheerbiton Student, David Langstaff, Slayer Candidates, SG and Stan Cedar, and Pure Element Pate Real. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching, for being here, and I'll see you all next time.